Our search to find South Carolina Attorney General Alan Wilson took weeks.
All right, that is Wilson's Black Tahoe.
We eventually tracked him down at a campaign stop deep in Florence County, 3 hours from Charlotte, in the small town of Coward, South Carolina. A few minutes later, the AG and his driver pulled up to the Coward Community Center. I tried to question him on his way in.
How you doing, Mr. Wilson?
Hey, Jody.
Hey,
Good to see you.
can you tell us why you and your office fought against Mr. Pearson's innocence in State versus Michael Pearson?
But the AG didn't slow down as he scurried into the PD Republican women's event to deliver a speech and take questions.
Now I want the opportunity to be the leader of our executive branch of government as your governor.
He spoke to a group of 20 people he wanted something from, their votes to make him governor. Wilson later took questions from the audience.
Do you guys mind if I ask him a question real quick?
I know what question he's going to ask.
And the crowd gave us permission to ask Wilson about Michael Pearson's case. Why, even when the appeals court reversed Pearson's conviction, finding the fingerprint evidence tying him to the Slick Gibbons ambush was insufficient evidence to submit to the jury and merely raised a suspicion of Pearson's guilt, the AG's office fought to uphold the conviction and asked the Supreme Court to deny Pearson a new trial and reinstate his 60-year prison sentence. The court agreed, and Pearson continued serving his sentence.
Pearson ain't had nothing to do with this. He's an innocent man sitting in jail right now, is what you're telling me.
Yeah.
Pearson was freed in August 2025, 2.5 years after that Victor Weldon confession. A confession Pearson's innocence attorney says the AG could have uncovered during Pearson's first appeal.
So you think the Attorney General of the state of South Carolina could have caught this a decade ago?
I think so, yes. The red flags were there.
Mr. Wilson, there was in the next county over 2 months ago, there was a man who was wrongfully convicted and freed from prison. Every step of his appellate, every step, all of his appeals, even up to the Supreme Court, you and your office fought against this man's innocence. Why is that? And that's the case of Michael Pearson.
So, Jody, the way you ask the question, you ask it laced with assertions and innuendo and accusations, and that's not the way a reporter should ask a question. But what I will answer let me answer your question. I have 90 lawyers working in my office. I have between 340 and 350 employees. We manage 8,000 cases over a 15-year period. I cannot speak to the facts of every specific case. So if you want to know about a specific case, then we can put the lawyers who are handling the case there. What I can tell you is, by law, our office is required to defend the state under post-conviction relief as well as appellate law. So somebody has to defend the state's prosecution. I cannot speak to the facts of this assertion that you baked into your question.
But the evidence does not support the AG's ignorance. Alan Wilson's office knew of Pearson's innocence claim in 2024, 14 months before he was freed from prison. Remember Victor Weldon?
So was Pearson there?
No.
He confessed to the solicitor's office in March 2023.
I'll see you at the mic.
In July 2023, the solicitor's investigator called Michael Pearson in from prison and told him about Weldon's confession.
The man telling you the truth. I ain't had nothing to do with that. I done did 15 years of my life.
In June 2024, a year after that confession, Michael Pearson filed this post-conviction relief application with the Attorney General's office. He told the AG he was imprisoned unlawfully because of newly discovered evidence, that evidence being the Victor Weldon confession. Clarendon County's clerk sent the PCR application to the AG on June 8, 2024. The clerk's office shows 14 months passed, and the AG's office did not file a single document to get Pearson's PCR case in front of a judge for an evidentiary hearing. That happened only after North Carolina Center on Actual Innocence attorneys Chris Muma and James Babb took Pearson's case over.
What kind of statement does that make that the Attorney General's office is so committed to upholding this conviction that they're going to throw law enforcement under the bus? It's interesting how there's this back and forth, the solicitor saying, you fix it, to the AG's office saying, no, you fix it, you're the one that got the evidence. In the meantime, Michael Pearson's still sitting in prison. Where is the person who says, we got to fix this? We got to fix it now.
Muma says Wilson and his office had an ethical duty to act immediately, not 14 months later. Muma points to South Carolina Court Rule 3.8 G and H, requiring a prosecutor to make reasonable efforts to promptly disclose credible material evidence that a convicted man did not commit a crime, and when a prosecutor knows of clear and convincing evidence of a person's innocence, the prosecutor shall make reasonable efforts to seek to remedy the conviction. In a July 2025 letter to the AG, Solicitor Chip Finney claimed his office spent months trying to investigate Mr. Pearson's involvement in the Slick Gibbons ambush. Finney denied he did anything in the past 2.5 years to delay or impede correcting Pearson's conviction, and his office always followed the facts and acted upon them as the law requires. And through it all, Michael Pearson continued sitting in prison.
Even if the conviction is later found out it was wrongful and improper?
Well,
you
again,
guys
I
would
can't
defend
speak
that?
to the specifics of the case, only to say that there's thousands and thousands and thousands of cases, but I don't know the facts of every single case. So there have been times that we have defended cases all the way through the appellate process, and because a case gets turned over, doesn't necessarily mean the person was innocent, it just means that there was some flaw in the legal system.
But the AG had plenty of time to educate himself about the Michael Pearson case before we tracked him down here. Not only was news of Pearson's vacated conviction plastered on nearly every news outlet across the Carolinas, Wilson's own office filed motions in Pearson's case with the state Supreme Court just 2 months ago. Wilson's name, along with his top officials, is on the bottom of the filing. The AG also had the benefit of my email 3 weeks earlier, asking him and his press secretary, Robert Kittle, to schedule an interview. I told them exactly what we wanted to talk about: the state versus Michael Wilson Pearson and state versus Oscar Fortune. I even included more detail. Our investigation concerns appeals and PCR applications where the AG's office under Alan Wilson successfully fought to uphold the convictions against these two defendants. Convictions that were later vacated over prosecutorial misconduct in the Fortune case and a wrongful conviction in the Pearson case. A week later, Kittle refused our interview request. The Attorney General will not be doing any interviews with you after your unprofessional behavior the last time he talked to you. He showed up at your station to do an interview with another reporter, and you could have asked for 5 or 10 minutes to talk to him while he was there. But instead, you waited for him outside in the parking lot just so you could run up to him with a camera to make it look like you were chasing him down for dramatic effect. One thing's true. We did conduct that interview the AG didn't want to schedule right in our parking lot in June.
Mr. Wilson, how are you?
This happened a month after we filed a formal request asking Wilson to schedule time with us. We wanted him to explain to the public why his office dismissed every charge filed in 2 of our investigations out of Marlboro County: final disrespects and lost trust.
Me and Tammy got 4 packs of cigarettes out there, so we figured he didn't need them no more.
In final disrespects, a dead man's family accused the then deputy probate judge and her friends of stealing from a dead man and his dementia-ridden wife within hours of his death. 2 years after our investigation aired, the state charged Deputy Probate Judge Tammy Bullock and Charlotte Green with grand larceny. Bullock also faced a weapons charge from a separate case. That weapons indictment was hand-signed by Attorney General Alan Wilson. Wilson's office eventually dropped every charge in the theft case, including Bullock's weapons charge. Those records were later removed from the Marlboro County Courthouse and destroyed.
Get up, get in the cell, Darrell. To get in there, pump two, pump two, pump two, pump two, pump two.
In our lost trust investigation, we uncovered this video recording from May 2020. It showed former Sheriff Charles Lemon ordering former Deputy Andrew Cook to shock an inmate multiple times with a taser inside the county jail. The video led to the state attorney general indictments of Lemon and Cook, each on a felony assault charge and misconduct in office. The governor suspended Lemon from office. Years later, the feds filed a civil rights charge against Lemon and Cook, and Wilson's office dropped the state-level assault and misconduct in office charges. Wilson's office refused an interview to explain why the AG abandoned the state prosecutions.
Mr. Cook, can we talk to you before you head out?
No, thank you. I'm fine. Thank you, though.
Deputy Cook later pleaded guilty to his civil rights charge.
I just heard not guilty.
And Lemon was acquitted during his federal trial in August 2024. Wilson's refusal to talk about his handling of these cases is the real reason why we were forced into this unscheduled interview in June.
I can't talk specifically to the facts of those cases because I'm not familiar with them, but everything our office told you that we legally can tell you, we have told you legally. I hope you have a good day.
Why can't you tell the people of South Carolina why you chose to do this?
Jody, as again, we gave you an answer. The answer was there's some things we can legally say, things we can't legally say. I'm not privy to the specific facts of that case. Have a good day.
How about this? The victims in the Hollis Slade case say that you...
And now let's go back to Coward and our questions about Michael Pearson's appeals. We're airing this exchange unedited.
But at the end of the day, you're asserting that I would be against someone going after someone wrongfully to prosecute them when I knew them to be innocent. That's what you're asserting in your question.
Well, the question is about during the appellate process, does your office have any responsibility to investigate the claims made against the state?
We can't go outside the record, Jody, by law. We only the record in the circuit court.
So you don't have any responsibility to investigate, but you do just solely uphold the conviction.
I think I've answered your question. On appeal, we have the record that was created in the circuit court. That is the record that we have. Now, as to the specifics of this case, I can't speak to it because I wasn't the attorney of record on this case. There are thousands of, you can fuss at me all you want, you can disagree with the decisions of the office. There are thousands and thousands of cases that our office does all year long.
But I emailed you all about this weeks ago.
Well, Jody.
And you wouldn't schedule an interview, so we had to come down here.
Jody.
I'm what?
You're rude.
Okay.
All right.
And the interview ended.
Yes, ma'am.
Wilson's driver asked the three officers, two were local police chiefs, to keep us away from the AG. Before Wilson arrived, those officers were welcoming to us and praised our investigative work. At the end, they tried to block me from asking Wilson anything else.
You just answer my emails.
He can.
Okay, as long as you don't get coached.
No, you're fine. He's not going to hurt me.
Why don't you just answer the emails, man? Let's do this the right way.
Wilson got into his Tahoe and left town. But let's back up. Wilson said something that caught my attention right before his driver, who he called Addison, tried to shout us down.
We can't go outside the record, Jody, by law. We only the record in the circuit court.
The record. That reminded me of another appellate case we investigated, the state versus Oscar Fortune.
Do you remember the day that you were sitting in prison and you found, wait a minute, here is this moment in this trial. Here is the error my prosecutor made.
I remember it, but I also remember the Attorney General saying, you can't raise that issue. That's not a PCR issue. That's a direct appeal issue. You were supposed to do that on your direct appeal. I'm telling them, no, that's a constitutional violation. So now here it is, you got me, uneducated, in prison, convicted of murder, telling them, educated, working for the Attorney General, that you're wrong. You have people who have raised these issues in the past, and you told them the same thing, and they believed it. But now I know what the Constitution is. Now I know what a constitutional violation is. So you can't tell me I'm wrong.
Turns out you were right.
100% right. So says the Supreme Court of South Carolina.
Fortune was convicted of murder in Chesterfield County in 2006. He spent 13 years in a state prison, fighting Attorney General Alan Wilson's office for a new trial. The AG's office fought Fortune to uphold his conviction and his 37-year sentence. Although right there in the record was something the state Supreme Court called absolutely inexcusable prosecutorial misconduct, something the court found Wilson's office tried to justify in the AG's fight to keep Oscar Fortune imprisoned. Objection continues after this.